Have you ever watched someone enter a conversation and immediately shift the entire energy of the room? Not through loud words or grand gestures, but through something far more subtle and powerful. Meanwhile, others can speak endlessly, yet struggle to hold anyone's attention for more than a few seconds. What separates these two types of people isn't what you might think. It's not their education, their looks, or even their natural talent. It's a single behavioral shift that anyone can master, yet most people instinctively do the opposite. This one change can transform how others perceive you, respect you, and respond to you in every interaction. And it takes just seconds to implement. What I'm talking about is the strategic use of silence, specifically the deliberate pause. In a world where everyone feels compelled to fill every moment with words, where conversations move at breakneck speed, and where people interrupt each other to be heard, the person who masters the art of the pause holds an almost supernatural advantage. This isn't just some social trick or manipulation tactic. This is about understanding a fundamental aspect of human psychology that governs how we perceive authority, competence, and value in others. Think about it. When was the last time you were in a conversation where someone paused before responding to a question? Really paused, not just a quick breath, but a genuine moment of silence. I bet you paid attention. I bet it made their eventual response feel more meaningful. In our hyper-connected, instant gratification world, this concept has become more relevant than ever. We're surrounded by people desperately trying to capture attention through volume, speed, and constant chatter. Social media has trained us to respond immediately, to react without thinking, to fill every silence with noise. But here's what most people don't realize. In this environment of constant noise, silence has become the ultimate power move. The person who can harness the power of the pause doesn't just stand out, they command respect, influence conversations, and shape how others perceive their intelligence and authority. This isn't about becoming antisocial or mysterious for the sake of it. It's about understanding that in communication, sometimes what you don't say is just as powerful as what you do say. The psychology behind the pause. Let's start with why this works at all. Human beings are hardwired to interpret silence in social situations as a sign of confidence and control. When someone pauses before speaking, our brains automatically assign higher value to what they're about to say. It's the same principle that makes limited edition items more desirable, or why we pay more attention to someone who speaks less frequently. From an evolutionary perspective, the individuals who spoke less but with greater impact were often the leaders, the decision makers, the ones whose words carried weight because they chose them carefully. In contrast, those who filled every moment with chatter were often seen as nervous, insecure, or trying too hard to prove themselves. There's also a neurological component at play here. When we encounter unexpected silence in a conversation, our brains enter a state of heightened attention. We become more focused, more present, because we're trying to predict what comes next. This anticipation creates a psychological tension that naturally draws people towards you. The modern epidemic of rushed communication. Look around you in any social setting, and you'll see people who are afraid of silence. They fill every gap in conversation with like, or unnecessary small talk. They speak rapidly, as if they're worried their thoughts won't be heard. They interrupt others, not out of rudeness, but out of anxiety that their voice won't matter. This behavior has been amplified by our digital age. We're used to instant responses, text messages, emails, social media comments. The idea of taking time to formulate a thoughtful response has become foreign to many people. But here's what most people don't realize. In this environment of constant noise, silence has become the ultimate power move. The person who can harness the power of the pause doesn't just stand out, they command respect, influence conversations, and shape how others perceive their intelligence and authority. This isn't about becoming antisocial or mysterious for the sake of it. It's about understanding that in communication, sometimes what you don't say is just as powerful as what you do say. The mechanics of powerful pausing. So how do you actually implement this? It's not just about staying quiet randomly. There's a strategy to it. The most effective pause comes right after someone asks you a question or makes a statement that requires your response. Instead of immediately jumping in, you hold the moment. You maintain eye contact. You let the silence stretch just long enough to create that psychological tension I mentioned earlier. The key is in the timing. Too short, and it's just a normal conversation beat. Too long, and it becomes awkward. We're talking about 2 to 4 seconds, long enough to be noticeable, but not so long that it disrupts the natural flow of conversation. During this pause, your body language is crucial. You don't fidget, you don't look away, you don't show any signs of nervousness. You remain composed, present, as if you're carefully considering the weight of your response. This communicates that you value your words enough to choose them thoughtfully. Real-world applications and transformations. Let me give you some concrete examples of where this becomes powerful. In job interviews, instead of rushing to answer questions, pause and consider your response. Interviewers will interpret this as thoughtfulness and confidence rather than hesitation. In social situations, when someone asks about your weekend or your opinions on something, that brief pause signals that your response will be worth waiting for. I've seen this transform people's professional lives. One client, a software engineer, was consistently overlooked in team meetings despite having great ideas. He spoke quickly, often interrupting himself to add more details, and his contributions got lost in the noise. After learning to pause, to let his ideas breathe before expressing them, he started getting promoted. His colleagues began seeking out his input specifically because when he spoke, it felt intentional and valuable. The transformation isn't just about how others perceive you. It changes how you perceive yourself. When you're not rushing to fill silence, you give yourself time to think more clearly. Your responses become more thoughtful, more articulate. You start to genuinely embody the confidence that others are seeing in you. Beyond conversation, the broader philosophy. This technique reveals something deeper about human nature and social dynamics. We live in a society that often rewards the loudest voice, the quickest response, the most immediate reaction. But true influence comes from a different place, from the ability to remain centered when others are reactive, to think when others are simply responding. The pause represents self-mastery. It shows that you're not controlled by the urgency of the moment, that you're not desperate for approval or validation. You're operating from a place of inner security rather than external need. And people are naturally drawn to that kind of centered presence. This connects to broader principles of personal development and leadership. The most effective leaders throughout history weren't necessarily the most talkative. They were the ones who knew when to speak and when to listen, when to act and when to wait. They understood that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. So here's what we've discovered. The power of the pause isn't just a communication technique. It's a fundamental shift in how you show up in the world. It's about moving from reactive to responsive, from desperate to deliberate, from background noise to commanding presence. The beautiful thing about this concept is its simplicity. You don't need to change your entire personality, learn complex social skills, or spend years in therapy. You just need to pause. Take those few seconds before you respond. Let the silence work for you instead of against you. But remember, this only works if you actually implement it. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. The next conversation you have, whether it's with a colleague, a friend, or even a cashier at the store, try it. Feel the difference in how people respond to you when you give your words the weight they deserve. Your presence is your power. Don't give it away cheaply through rushed words and anxious energy. Command it through the simple, profound act of the pause. I want to challenge you to try this technique in your very next conversation. Seriously, put your phone down after watching this video and go find someone to talk to. When they ask you something, pause for those crucial 2 to 3 seconds, then respond with intention. After you try it, come back and leave a comment below telling me what happened. Did you notice a shift in how they responded to you? Did it feel different? I read every single comment and I'm genuinely curious about your experience. If this video opened your eyes to the hidden psychology behind social interactions, hit that like button. It tells YouTube to share this with people who need to hear it. And if you want more insights into the subtle psychological principles that separate influential people from everyone else, subscribe and ring that notification bell. Next week, I'm diving into another counterintuitive principle that most people get completely wrong when trying to build respect and influence. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Remember,
In a world full of noise, silence is strength. Now, go out there and use it.